Blog Talk Radio.
Join us for today's episode of the Utopian Realities Slope, Save Life on Planet Earth Blog Talk Radio show, bringing you solution bearers with practical, proven, scientific ways to help you eliminate global level irradiation and extinction level threats from your body and bringing forward the means to restore and sustain global waters, air, soil, and sentient life. Welcome. Greetings all. Utopian Realities Slope, Save Life on Planet Earth, EarthAid, brings forward solution bearers with ways to address threats to global life and utopian solutions now, including artists whose music contributes to planetary healing, rejuvenation, and jubilation. Today's guest is Anton Mizerak, composer and multi-instrumentalist who plays tabla, harmonica, synthesizers, and piano. Anton is literate in Sanskrit with an MA in the history of religions. He has an intimate understanding of Asian spiritual and musical traditions, which he utilizes to create music that enriches and enlivens the listener. Anton lives and records in Mount Shasta, California, in a house and studio he built himself, and his many recordings reflect his extensive travels, his love of the natural world, and his desire to impact the world in a positive way through music. Anton has been performing on piano and harmonica since 1968. In 1988, he began studying tabla, classical Indian drums, in Kathmandu, Nepal, with Hamnath Upadhyaya. Much of Anton's music reflects his cross-cultural musical experimentation, combining harmonica and synthesizers with traditional Asian melodic and percussive instruments. Anton's tour partners include singer Laura Berryhill, who has toured with Anton since 1997, bamboo flautist from Kathmandu, Nepal, Manoj, winner of the 1995 Radio Nepal Instrumentalist of the Year Award, Michael Mondrell, guitarist, Richard Hardy, flutes, penny whistle, and soprano sax, Natalie, singer, flautist, and Ayurvedic practitioner. I've been honored to know Anton for many years, and I'm still grateful for he, Manoj, and Natalie's playing for our June 28, 2005 celebration honoring the birth of the white buffalo, Hiawatha. Welcome, Anton.
Hey, great to be with you.
How are you?
Life is good in Mount Shasta, and probably everywhere if we just look for it.
Good,
yes.
Good. Well, tell us a little bit about your journey as a musician and how you've come to really dedicate your life to uplifting people and the planet through music.
You know, I think my journey as a musician was greatly impacted by the fact that one time when I was traveling in Asia, I caught malaria, just about died, and decided that if I lived through it for the rest of my life, instead of doing what other people and what society wanted of me, that I would just do what I really thought I wanted to do myself. And that was maybe 30-some years ago. And from that time on, I have just decided that I would dedicate my life to creating greater understanding in the world, and also through music, and also bringing a little bit of that peacefulness that we get from living in a sacred spot, you know, on an energy grid, a really charged place with clarity, but bringing that through the music so that people who maybe have busier lives, who maybe don't have as fortunate of circumstances in their lives, are able through the medium of music to plug into some deeper level of their own being that might not be as easily accessible without the added benefit of some background music or some music in their lives. So that's pretty much the journey I've been on in the last 35 years. I've been recording my music and other people's music, and I pretty much only do projects and only work on things that feel in alignment with that goal.
That's beautiful. And so what have you been working on recently?
Well, I have this series of CDs that they're an hour long. They are based on classical Indian ragas, and people use them as background for meditation, for healing work, for hypnotherapy, massage. Estheticians use them a lot, and it's a series called When Angels Dream, and I've done this with this wonderful bamboo flute player, Manoj Singh Newa, who also tours with Deva Premal, and he and I we're wrapping up the series with Volume 3, and that will be out sometime this summer. The first two volumes, I know there's over 50,000 out there that massage therapists and healers have. And so, a lot of people have been saying, can you just do one more before you throw in the towel on this? And so that's what I've been doing, working on the third volume. It's great. I get to be in my wonderful studio in Mount Shasta with a view of the mountain, just listening to this great music and tweaking it and putting Tibetan bowls in the appropriate places and just, Manoj played some excellent flute. I work with a really wonderful cellist named Corbin Keep on this CD, and so it'll just be great to have that out because I'm in my 60s. I'm getting on in life, and you kind of want to leave a legacy for the future, just kind of in some way to influence consciousness and the evolution of spirituality for future generations. And so I'm, just doing my thing for that part of life.
So what kind of impact then do you see to the larger world through spiritual music, through uplifting vibrational music?
Well, the When Angels Dream series is designed for people to slow down, to take a breath. And so in our life's journey, if we run into a problem, something that we see as an obstacle, a lot of times we have a default position that we automatically go to. It may be some tightening in our stomach, some muscle tension, which then we notice that's happening, and then we complain about something or find fault with something, or we have just a general automatic response reaction. And so by slowing down, getting people in a more meditative state, what I'm trying to do is help people break out of that cycle. In Sanskrit, they call it samsara. It's like that whirlpool where you just do things over and over and over again, even though you're really not happy with the way things turn out. But that's the default position that you're addicted to. And so if you can get people to slow down a little bit, take a breath, maybe see a different possibility, after the initial stimulus that's maybe unpleasant, so that we in our daily lives can sort of up-level and have a response that leads to a better outcome. And so that's what I hope this music allows people to do, just to take a little time out, to slow down their response to habitual stimuli, so that they can do things that come to a more positive outcome.
Are you doing any touring at this point? Are you planning on when you're done with this new album? or are you pretty much sticking close to home?
I'm committed to do a tour to Los Angeles area, Southern California, San Diego, and Arizona every spring, and every fall we go up to the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, Portland. As part of that tour, I and my tour partner, Laura Berryhill, who's a Celtic singer, have been playing concerts 5 nights a week. And then on Wednesday nights and on Sunday days, we've been leading church services at New Thought churches where we give talks on music and mythology, stories of transformation. And in the talks, we look at 3 different mythological traditions. We look at a Native American tradition, a story of Coyote going to Mount Shasta on a vision quest, a Celtic story of a mermaid, and then we do something from Tibetan Buddhism, which is a practice of dissolving, meditational practice where you dissolve the universe to a point of light and recreate it as a 3-dimensional mandala of universal compassion. And we do this to show people that that there are many different ways of spiritual transformation. Coyote's kind of the trickster, the fool. He's the accidental tourist on the road to transformation, but he finds spirit in the end in this story. And the mermaid in this myth that we look at, she's forced into transformation. Sometimes people in their lives, stuff comes up, and they only have one choice. They have to change. Maybe they're confronted with an addiction or some tremendous loss in their life of something, and things can't go on the same, and so they have to transform. And then some people consciously choose to transform. So we look at these 3 different modalities of transformation. There's many others, but we do that because, again, we want to focus on upliftment and transformation. So we give these talks at different spiritual centers, Unity churches, Centers for Spiritual Living, Unitarian fellowships, around the West Coast when we tour. We just got back from...
Anton, I hate to put you on the spot, but we're going to break shortly and listen to Desert Bloom. When we come back, do you think you could lead us in such a process using one of those stories in the time that we have remaining?
Yeah. I bet I could. Could I do a 5-minute thing? You have to tell me how much time there is. Play the Desert Bloom. Tell me how much time there is, and I'll tell you if we can do it.
All right, let's go to Desert Bloom, and then we'll be right back. All right?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. welcome back. Leaves us about 8 minutes before we go to close. Anton,
8
can you do
minutes.
something? Can you tell us a story?
I could tell us a story in 8 minutes. Sure.
All right.
This is a story collected by Frank Gachet in 1871. He was an ethnographer who decided that he wanted to document the Modoc Indian language. And so this story exists in a manuscript form in a museum in Klamath Falls, Oregon. And the story is Coyote Goes to Mount Shasta on a vision quest. So, long before the world was the way it is today, Coyote was walking down by the river, and he saw a group of young girls bathing in the river. And being Coyote, he walked right down to the bank of the river, and he made a pass at the young girls. And they looked at each other, and then they turned toward Coyote, and they said, "Oh, Coyote, you're way too old for us. You'll have to find someone your own age." Well, Coyote, being Coyote, was very disappointed with this result, and so he thought to himself, I should go to Mount Shasta on a vision quest so that I can become young again. Well, Coyote didn't know how to do a vision quest, so he went to his friend Jow Jow, Flying Squirrel, and he said, Jow Jow, I've decided I need to go on a vision quest. Can you help me? And Jow Jow said, Oh, Coyote, why ever in the world would you want to do that? Creatures do that when they're young to find their purpose in life so that they have some sort of guidepost to orient their life around. But you're old, you've lived your life out, and there's really no need for you to do a vision quest. Well, Coyote, in a fit of inspiration, answered Jow Jow, and he said, Jow Jow, no creature is ever too old to find their true purpose in life. I've put it off for way too long. I have to go do this now. Will you help me? And Jow Jow said, Coyote, those are excellent words. I don't believe you, but I'll help you anyway. So, Jow Jow said, Coyote, you need to gather up blankets and carry them to Mount Shasta. And when you get to Whitney Creek, you need to cut your sweat lodge willows and strip the bark off the willows. And when you get above Whitney Falls where the trees stop growing, you need to gather your firewood, wrap it up in the blankets, and carry it to the saddle between the two peaks where you'll build your sweat lodge. You'll build your sweat lodge fire. You'll heat up rocks till they're glowing hot. You'll carry them in the lodge with a couple of sticks. You'll gather water from the lake. You'll bring it in the lodge. You'll make steam, and you'll pray all through the night to Gamokamsh, the great who lives inside Mount Shasta, and you're going to pray to be adopted as his son. And furthermore, Coyote, I'm going to teach you a song, and you have to sing this song the whole time you're going to Mount Shasta. It's a song to Gamokamsh, imploring him to adopt you as his son. But Coyote, it's very important that nobody sees you, nobody hears you, and absolutely that nobody finds out what you're doing. So Coyote gathers his blankets, and he starts walking toward Mount Shasta, carrying his blankets, singing this song to Gamokamsh. Pretty soon, some people are coming the opposite direction on the trail from Mount Shasta. And they round a corner of the trail, and they see Coyote carrying all these blankets, and they say, Oh, Coyote, whatever are you doing carrying all these blankets toward Mount Shasta? And Coyote says, I'm going to Mount Shasta on a vision quest so that I can become young again. And the people say, Coyote, we wish you well. And they keep walking. And Coyote keeps walking toward Mount Shasta. And pretty soon some more people are walking down the trail from Mount Shasta. And they hear this canine howling, and they round the corner, and they see coyotes carrying all these blankets. And they say, "Oh, Coyote, whatever you doing with all these blankets?" And Coyote said, "I'm going to Mount Shasta on a vision quest so that I can become young again." But as Coyote gets closer to the mountain, the immensity of the importance of what he's doing begins to overtake him. And the next time people come walking in the trail, Coyote hides in the brush in the manzanita, and he just sings real quietly to himself. So he decides that he is going to avoid contact with all people, and he gets to Whitney Creek, and he cuts his willows, and he gets to above Whitney Falls, gathers his firewood, hikes up to the saddle between Shasta and Shastina, builds his lodge, gets his rocks glowing hot, brings them in the lodge, makes steam, prays deep into the night to Gamokamsh, and then he falls asleep. But he dreams that Gamokamsh comes into his lodge. And Gamokamsh says, "Coyote, I know that your intentions have not been pure, but you've done the ceremony. You've built the lodge. You've done your vision quest, and so I'm going to honor your request. I'm going to adopt you as my son. And furthermore, I'm going to honor your real request. I'm going to make you young again. And I'm also going to promise you that as long as there are two-leggeds and four-leggeds walking in the world, there will always be Coyote." And so Coyote, this accidental tourist on the path to enlightenment, still gets the goods. And sometimes a lot of us, there's different ways to walk our path. Sometimes we just stumble into what we end up being the most important thing in our life. It doesn't matter that we've stumbled into it. The really important thing is that eventually we come to we purify our intention, we do the thing properly, and we give our gift and our service, and create that connection with the Great Spirit, with the Source, and so that's part of our story that Laura and I give for our talk on transformation.
That's wonderful, Anton. Listeners, to hear Anton's music and learn more about his consciousness healing music, visit shastasong.com. We're going to be closing with a piece of Anton's called Alpenglow. And to learn how to become part of the Utopian Reality Slope Earth Aid mission, contact White Buffalo Nation at gmail.com and visit wbnslope.weebly.com and our White Buffalo Nation Facebook page, and support the Slope mission at gofundme.com/slope. And join us again tomorrow, Saturday, May 21st at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, when we visit with Russell Anderson and Brad Lofferman of Spintronics, and Sunday, May 22nd at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, when we visit with Bobri Oren of BAO Health Resources about the remediative benefits of Folium PX as we help bring utopian realities forward. Together, let's save life on planet Earth. That's yours, mine, and all of ours, on and in the land, waters, and air. Thanks, Anton, for joining us.
Thanks, Lisa, and thanks to all of your listeners who support your program.
Yes, and now we'll close with the beautiful Alpenglow. Be well, everyone. Thank you. Till next time, this is Lisa Wolf for Slope. Save life on planet Earth. Earth Aid now.